welcome to Pixels and Pinfalls. My name is Edward and this is another Hidden Gems video. Now in this series I take a look at games that maybe have been sort of forgotten a little bit to time, or ones that are maybe a little bit newer that kind of got passed over when they were initially released. In this particular video I will be looking at Super Mario Bros. 2 Yoshi's Island, originally released for the SNES in 1995. But before we begin, you may have noticed a little change of scenery. Thank you to a couple of friends of ours who we're kind of staying here for a little bit, looking after one of their cats. Say hello to Maggie. Maggie, do you want to say hello? No, probably not. Okay, right. Well, without any further ado, let's begin. As I said, this game was released originally for the Super Nintendo in 1995, August 1995 in Japan, and later worldwide a couple of months later in October. Now, although it carries the 2 after it, it is not technically a sequel to Super Mario Bros. And because of the baby characters that are in it, specifically Baby Mario and Baby Luigi, is kind of more like a prequel. Now this game is quite a drastic change from the prior game, mainly because you are controlling the character of Yoshi as opposed to Mario or Luigi. And it introduced what are seen as kind of Yoshi-based concepts to the series, such as the flutter jump, eating enemies and producing eggs from that, and then firing eggs at various different targets. Its art style also differs massively from prior games and from other games that Nintendo were producing at the time. Things like Donkey Kong Country, that was quite big with having pre-rendered backgrounds and making it look as realistic as possible. Now that game specifically was released while Yoshi was a couple of years into production, and they were unable to change that production style to follow Donkey Kong Country, so effectively what they did was double down on the kind of style that they already had and accentuate it even more, and it's kind of something that has followed Yoshi and his games all the way through, even to Yoshi's Crafted World that was released on the Switch. Now, like most other games in this series, this is essentially just a basic platformer, and as I said, instead of controlling Mario or Luigi, you are controlling Yoshi, and he is carrying Baby Mario to find Baby Luigi. They've essentially been separated, and there's some kind of weird link that's never really properly explained. It's sort of explained away very quickly at the beginning of the game, where Mario can kind of sense and detect where Luigi is, and basically you have to deliver Mario to Luigi through various different levels, 48 in total, and he gets kind of passed along through different coloured Yoshis. Now those 48 levels are split across 6 different worlds, and there are 8 levels in each world, and every 4th and 8th level are boss fights as opposed to standard platform levels. Now these levels themselves kind of are more based on kind of skill and puzzle solving more than a traditional platformer where you just kind of defeat some enemies and make your way to the goal. Obviously there is that element in this game, but a lot of it is to do with collecting certain extra items as well to score bonus points and to unlock other parts of the level kind of through secret doors and things like that. There are also times where Yoshi will transform into various different machines in order to kind of circumnavigate very specific areas of the level, where he becomes like a digger or a helicopter, or I believe a submarine as well at one point in some of the water-based levels. and Mario kind of gets held in kind of a stasis bubble, and once Yoshi successfully circumnavigates that section, he kind of gets teleported back to where Yoshi gets transformed back into himself. Now, Yoshi himself is effectively indestructible. Usually on this sort of thing you have maybe different stages of life, like you do with Mario, where you eat a mushroom and get bigger, or you get things like a flower so that you get stronger, and if you get hit you kind of get reverted back to your prior state. Or in some other things you get sort of a health percentage or a certain amount of hearts, and when you lose all of them you lose a life. However, in this, Yoshi himself doesn't really get damaged, but when he does get hit by an enemy, then he effectively drops Baby Mario and a timer begins. And if you do not get Baby Mario safely out of his bubble and back on your back by the end of this timer, he gets kidnapped by the Koopas that just kind of arrive and take him away, and that's how you end up losing a life. But if you manage to burst the bubble and get him back on your back, the timer stops and you can carry on as normal. And if you collect more and more stars throughout the world, that kind of elongates your timer as you go through. Similarly to how, say, someone like Sonic collects rings in order to keep himself safe. Obviously you end up losing all your rings, but the more and more you collect, the kind of safer that you are, that you can take some damage and still be able to sort of survive that initial attack. Collect a few more and then you're kind of impervious to other attacks for a little while as well. The same sort of concept applies here. Once you've got Mario back on your back, and if you get hit again, the same sort of process follows along. And that is effectively it. Really all you have to do is solve all of these levels, get all the way to the end and defeat the final boss, and reunite Baby Mario with Baby Luigi at the end. Obviously, it being a platformer, there's not really any extra bits and pieces to it. There's no kind of extra special modes as such. There's a few different ways that Yoshi can traverse some of the levels, as I've already said, when he transforms into different machines. But obviously they are kind of set on certain levels. It's not like you can replay it just as kind of Helicopter Yoshi once you've completed it for a different game experience. However, saying this, when the game was initially released, it received very, very favourable scores and comments. It received a 91 on Metacritic, for example, and it got a 9 out of 10 score from Eurogamer and a 9.4 out of 10 from IGN. And because of this, it was re-released in 2002 for the Game Boy Advance and received a few kind of tweaks for that. And that version of the game was then ported to the 3DS in 2011 and the Wii U in 2014. You can also get the kind of original SNES version of the game on the Nintendo eShop, because it is part of the Super Nintendo kind of compilation that they have on there. So as long as you are a subscribed member, you are able to play it via the SNES downloadable that is within the eShop. And that is how I am sort of playing through the game myself now. And due to those very favourable scores and comments and the success the game had, although it was one of the last SNES games released, this was kind of in the twilight time of the SNES before the N64 came about, it did lead to quite a lot of Yoshi-based spin-offs and kind of made Yoshi a more prominent character within the world of Mario and indeed within the Nintendo brand as a whole. So there we are, that is Yoshi's Island for the SNES. I very highly recommend tracking down a version of this game, even if it is the re-release or the port for some of those handheld versions. But if you do have a Switch and you are tempted to become a subscriber, so that especially you can get the NES and the SNES kind of downloadable compilations on there, then this is definitely a good game to play through. Or if you are still a SNES owner, try and track down a version of this game for a kind of sensible price if you can. Ideally anything not too high above the £15–20 mark, because it's not as readily available as some other games, but I would say that's a fair price to pay to play this in its original form on the SNES. So there we go, that is Yoshi's Island. They are my thoughts and feelings on it. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if there are any hidden gems you think I should be looking out for, please let me know in the comments below. As always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share wherever you can. And also please give the channel a subscribe. Until next time though, I have been Edward, this has been Pixels and Pinfalls, and thank you very much for watching. Goodbye. Thanks very much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. To keep up to speed with everything we're doing, you can find us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. If you wish to support us financially, you can do so over on Patreon for as little as $1 per month. Finally, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell icon so that you don't miss out on any future videos. Till next time, we'll see you very soon. Goodbye.